I used to believe that respect was something you earned through consistency, patience, and quiet reliability. I believe that showing up every day, doing the work, and caring without expectation would eventually create a bond stronger than blood. For 8 years, I lived by that belief, right up until the night my stepchildren reminded me that some people only recognize value when money is no longer on the table. My name is Daniel, 48 years old, married to Laura for almost a decade now. When I met her, she came with two 10-year-old twins, Emily and Josh, shy, polite kids who built pixelated worlds on Minecraft and devoured strawberry Pop-Tarts like they were a food group. I never tried to take the place of their father. I simply stepped in wherever I was needed. School drop-offs, late-night fevers, dentist appointments, parent-teacher meetings, those small, unglamorous tasks that make up real family life. Their biological dad, Marcus, lived 3 states away and treated parenting like a seasonal obligation. Twice a year phone calls, maybe a birthday card with a 20 stuffed inside, as if two green bills could cover the remaining 363 days. So I became the steady presence in their lives, the one who actually showed up. Years passed, and those small acts added up. I covered braces, 4,000 a set, summer camps, piano lessons Emily abandoned after half a year, basketball league fees for Josh, new school laptops, therapy sessions when Emily's anxiety blindsided her junior year at $75 per appointment. I kept records, not as ammunition, but for budgeting. By the time they reached their senior year of high school, that spreadsheet showed nearly $68,000 I had poured into raising them. It never bothered me. I loved those kids. I loved our life. Laura worked brutal 12-hour shifts as a nurse. I handled project management and construction. Together, we'd built what I thought was a stable home. Warm, imperfect, but ours. Then senior year arrived, and with it came the first cracks in the foundation I had assumed was solid. College became the main theme at dinner, those bright, hopeful conversations about futures they were hungry for. Emily wanted to attend a private art institute in Chicago, tuition close to $48,000 a year. Josh bounced between studying psychology or film on the West Coast, drifting from school to school with price tags starting in the low 40s. At first I felt proud. They had dreams, ambition, direction. But then acceptance letters arrived and reality stepped forward like a stern accountant with a clipboard. So one evening, I sat them down at the kitchen table. Papers covered the wood, FAFSA forms, tuition breakdowns, loan calculators, scholarship offers. I wasn't trying to kill their dreams. I was trying to guide them the way my own father had guided me when I wanted an out-of-state engineering program we couldn't responsibly afford. I kept my tone calm, rational. If you go to State U, I told them, your scholarships plus what your mom and I have saved will cover almost everything. You'll graduate with about $10,000 in debt, maybe less. But if you choose these out-of-state private schools, you're looking at around $150,000 each by graduation. We can't shoulder that. No one can. I expected disappointment, maybe some debate. What I didn't expect was the shift in tone, the casual dismissal that slid across the table like a cold wind. Emily rolled her eyes as if I had suggested she trade her dreams for a part-time job at a gas station. Josh leaned back, arms crossed, the smirk on his face twisting something in my chest. Then Emily said it, calmly and confidently, the way kids speak when they know they're drawing blood. That's between Mom and us. You don't need to get involved. For a second, I thought she was joking. Stress makes teenagers say odd, sharp things. But she leaned forward, doubling down. You're not our real dad, Daniel. You don't get to make decisions about our education. Josh nodded, adding, yeah, maybe just keep your opinions to yourself. We'll figure everything out with Mom. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything I'd carried on a job site. Laura froze mid-sip of her tea, eyes darting between us, horrified but quiet. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply felt something inside me fold in on itself. For nearly a decade, I had been their constant, financially, emotionally, physically. But in their minds, I was nothing more than an ATM that occasionally offered advice they didn't ask for. I cleaned up the table, kissed Laura's temple, and went to bed. But my thoughts refused to rest. Every invoice, every overtime shift, Every Saturday spent cheering from bleachers instead of golfing with friends flickered through my mind like a film reel stuck on repeat. I had invested nearly a decade into these kids, and in one sentence, they peeled me out of the picture entirely. The next morning, I acted as if nothing had happened. I packed my lunch, went to work, shook hands with my crew, nodded through meetings. But something quiet and cold had settled inside me. A decision formed not out of spite, but clarity. That evening, after the twins disappeared into their rooms, I sat Laura down on the couch. "We need to talk about what they said last night." She looked down at her hands, guilt thick in her expression. "I know, I'm so sorry. They were disrespectful." "It was more than disrespectful," I said. "They drew a line. They told me I don't get a say in decisions they expect me to fund. I've put $68,000 into their lives, Laura. Real money, real time. But apparently I'm not real enough to have a voice." She finally looked up, eyes softening. "Daniel, you know they didn't mean—" "They did," I said, gently but firmly. "And I won't argue with them about how they see me. They're old enough to choose who gets to be a parent in their lives. But I'm old enough to choose where my money goes." She didn't speak. I didn't need her to. The next day, I contacted a financial advisor and shifted our savings accounts. I canceled the college fund contributions I had been making for years. I didn't make a speech about it. I simply stepped back, just as they had asked me to. When the college counselor called Laura asking why the financial documents showed no parental contributions, the twins stormed into the living room demanding an explanation. And for the first time in 8 years, I kept my opinions and my wallet to myself, exactly as they wanted. And that was the moment they finally learned the value of respect, when the money was no longer involved.